Here you go, kiddo. Go, hang on to this. You can get up one more. There you go. Hang on to this right here. So that's the engine, okay? That's the train. So what you got here is a layout, and it's a theoretical sort of trip between San Antonio and Fort Worth, Texas in 1959. And we like 1959 because that's a transition period where the railroads were going from steam engines to diesels. So the industries, the vehicles that you see out here, the way people are dressed, is from that kind of period of time, about 1960. So the first place that was built was this little place right here, Clark Center. And Clark Center is supposed to be, it's not a real town, it's a typical, what would be a typical town in Texas, East Texas, during that time frame. So you have things like, and it's named after Bob Clark, that guy on the wall over there, who's a pretty famous master model railroader here in town. And this is Flash Blackman, he's our model railroad demonstrator person.
Trying to learn how to run my
Trying to learn how to run his train. This is the first time he's gotten this thing to run, so he's real excited.
That's right.
So what do you think about that, kiddo? Huh? Look out, he's going to go down here and pick up these cars. He's going to pick up these cars. He's going to get coupled up to them. Or maybe it is, we'll see. Okay, he's going to go forward now. See if he's picked them up. He's beeping the horn. Saying, get out of my way. Here he goes. He got him. Look at that. How does that grab you? Say, wow. So Clark Center's got, you know, all kinds of funky things, and the only two rules we have out here is the more you look, the more you see, and don't touch.
Right.
So, it's cabooses, that's exactly right. Very good. They all know what cabooses are.
Yeah, that's true.
They know what cabooses are. That's a cool hat, by the way.
Thank you. That is a good hat.
That's a neat.
Man, that's a good
I like that. Engines. The first one was in 1920. It was from the central New Jersey, and 3 companies got together and said, we can make an engine that doesn't run on coal. And it had 300 horsepower, and then today you have this kind of stuff, 4,400 horsepower, which he knows all about. And these are trains that either you would see today or you would have seen in Texas. And there's things up here like the Amtrak Texas Eagle, the Texas Chief. This is the PFE, Pacific Fruit Express, that used to haul vegetables and fruits from like California all over the country. Here's a military troop train. This one here is a kind of an evolution of how intermodal travel was developed. You have flat cars with semi-trucks on them, and then you went through an evolution of the cars to what you see today, which is the well car with the cargo container on it. And then a couple of passenger cars that were here. And then there's one down there, a display that's steam engines, the evolution of steam engines. How does that grab? Okay? I was a kid, and it took me a while to get the engine running, but I got it all lubricated and everything, and it's amazing to see something that's 67 years old running, you know? Really something. So, this area in here is what we call Longhorn, and it's an industrial area. This is a oil drilling area, okay, an oil field, and the oil is pumped out here. It's collected in this truck, and it's in the tanks and shipped up to the big tanks, where it's put in the tank cars, loaded in the tank cars, and then shipped out to the refinery. You doing okay, kiddo? Okay. We'll go down here and look at this other town. How's that grab you? Look at some more interesting stuff for kids. They want to see this kind of stuff.
You just can't have a club layout in this part of Texas without a quarry.
Oh no. And so what we do is, the model railroaders will go out and they'll take pictures of a quarry and how it looks, and then come back and make a mold, of the background and then paint it up, you know, carve it and all that kind of stuff to make it look like a quarry. So that's the cement factory, and this is Longhorn, which was a real operation here in town. It's over there by that Heroes Stadium on Blossom and all that. And then this is the town of Van Auken, and Van Auken isn't a real town, but there was a president of the railroad club named Dr. Van Auken, so he gets a town. So it's the kind of a place where people live outside of town, but they come into town, the farmers and ranchers, to do their shopping and stuff. How you doing? Got it all figured out yet?
He's shy.
Yeah. All right, kiddo, you're doing great. All right.
He's usually really well behaved in new places.
Oh, he's terrific. Some of the kids we have in here.
Oh, yeah, no, he knows better than that.
Yeah. This is an interesting bridge here. Let me show you that. This bridge was in a guy's garage, and there really isn't a bridge like that in Texas. There are some in the United States, but it's made out of balsa wood. And it's so cool that everybody said, we gotta have this. So they cut a spot for it in the layout, they restored it, and put it in there. And the bridge design was designed by a guy by the name of Mr. Eiffel. So this is a very Lone Star gravel operation. Come on up here, kid. Hang on right here. Yeah, good job. Okay, so what happens here is there's a river that flows through this canyon, and the river pumps out gravel every once in a while. And the gravel's picked up by these dragline cranes, and it's put over here in the dumpsters, carried up in the conveyor belts, and put into the plant where it's washed and pulverized or whatever they're doing with it. And then they use it for construction material or ballast on the railroad or whatever. So that's the deal. And then this river is, this is a low water crossing in Texas. You know, we have these all over the place.
Oh, yes.
And the way they work is, you know, during normal flow of the river flows through and it flows through these pipes. But when it gets into flood stage, it's designed to where if the river flow can't be handled by the pipes, it'll flow over the road. Okay? Moving right along, we'll go down here. And this is, man, you're getting along pretty good, kid. Okay, this is a little area we call Rim Rock. And Rim Rock is kind of a farming, cattle, rural community area. And there's cows in the cow pens over there, the feed store. This is an old cottonseed oil gin. That was an industry that was okay in Texas in 1959. You don't see it today. But there was one of the old factories was still up in Brenham, and one of our guys went over there, took pictures of it, and then made a model of it. And then you have the REA station, and then the Rim Rock passenger station. And then you start coming into San Antonio. Now San Antonio, we're doing some revision to it. We're trying to put the Alamo in here and the River Walk and a few other things. This is the Sunset Station downtown. And this is the place, this was the freight station and now it's the Amtrak. So that's going to be the downtown. We're going to put the Alamo in there. We're going to do a bunch of other stuff. We had it built and we decided we didn't like what we had. We're never satisfied.
No model railroad
No.
is ever truly complete.
You're never done. That's exactly right. So, you start leaving there, and you know there's the Pearl Brewery. We got like 4 breweries on here, so let me tell you something. This was a brewery, and now it's the Museum of Art building. And if you've ever been down to the Pearl, you know that round stable building where they used to have horse-drawn cars and trolleys.
Mama.
This is...
Mama. Mama. Mama.
There you go.
Mama.
Want to see all these cars up here?
Mama. What? Mama, I'm so sorry.
needs to go potty?
Yeah.
Okay. Men's room's right over there. Ladies' room's right over there. Good boy. Always tell us when you need to go.
Love this layout.
So do you know how this thing works? Did you see Flash was running a little, he had a cord to his, okay? We'll cut some of this short because while he's doing his thing. So you start leaving San Antonio, you have the Scobie warehouses, the Pioneer Flour Mills, the Lone Star Brewery. This is the San Antonio Northern Railroad. That's our railroad. That's what we call our railroad. This area here is going to be a engine repair facility and a trailer on flat car facility. So there'll be a turntable here and a roundhouse, and then there'll be a diesel repair facility will be right there. So that's what's going there. So you come out of there and then you come into New Braunfels. And New Braunfels is pretty well completed. It's, I'm going to say 95% done. So you have the big grain elevators that are there. These are mostly real buildings, real working things that are up there. The iron works. There's a little plumbing facility. These little houses were built for the railroad workers that were there. And there were several railroads that had stations in New Braunfels. That's the Katy station back there. And then this one is the Missouri Pacific station. And
Oh yes, I recognize that one.
it's now a train museum.
I was there last week actually.
There you go. So you have the Brontex movie theater, the Nagelin Bakery down there, Henny Hardware. The fire station's kind of cool. Here's a picture of the fire station, and then there's the real fire station. Mr. Eubank, the guy that built all this stuff, or most of it, he built two of those. One for the people in the fire station and one for us. Have you ever heard of a movie called Secondhand Lions?
Yes.
With Michael Caine and Robert Duvall? Well, somebody built the house.
The house.
There's the house that's up in Pflugerville. Here's a picture of the real No Baloney house. And there they are from the movie. And there's the lion, the giraffe, and if you look back there behind that tree, under the tree, you'll see a hippopotamus. So, and there's the cornfield that the lion chased the bad guy out of. Textile mill, real place up there, little generator thing, people working in the Green River up there and floating around in their tubes and fishing and that kind of stuff. Then this is an area we call the Doyle Bond Forest. We had a member's name was Doyle Bond, and he bought all the trees in here. There's about 1,000 trees in here. It takes a tremendous number of trees to do this stuff. You know, and if you start looking at the trees, you can see that they're really weeds and things like that. You know, we build some of the bigger ones, but most of them are real wildlife weeds that we just spray and paint. So you have the cotton field with the sharecropper working there. You have the fruit stand, the grocery store, a little farm, and then all kinds of things. How we doing over there, kiddo? Okay? Good. All right. So, and the kids always like to see snakes. So you want to see snakes?
Oh yeah.
All right. So
There's the picker truck. Blue.
here's a snake.
There's the red truck.
There's one back here. You see him there.
It's a river.
And then there's one over here.
Stop
I think there's another one in here somewhere. But you know, there's little things like that. We have about 30 of these that we get kids to look at. And if you look on this sign right here, you can see butterflies. See the Doyle Bond National Forest? And I talked to you a little bit about this bridge. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
There he is.
more.
What are you looking for? The snakes?
I'm looking.
You see the butterflies?
Okay, there's the butterflies. Can you see them on the sign? Yeah, cool. Okay. So you got the
And on
two
these,
tunnel portals. You
let
know,
me
the
lift
train
the
goes
green
in
light.
there. And it's kind of fun when we're
Definitely.
operating trains. People that haven't been here before, they see the train go in that tunnel and they run around the other side because they think it's coming out that side, but it's really loops around and comes out here.
Tunnel.
These bridges are amazing.
Yeah, they're nice.
I know you touched on them earlier.
Yes.
But
Talk to it again.
yes, if you
Can
wouldn't
do.
mind.
This bridge was actually built in the 80s. It was made by Mr. Zengerle, who was a member of the San Antonio Model Railroad Association, and it was sitting in his garage. And when they were building the layout, they decided that even though there was not a bridge like this in Texas, it was something that we wanted to put on our layout because it's just too cool not to. It's made out of balsa wood, so some of the members of the club completely restored it. And there's not a bridge like that in Texas. There are a few like that in the United States. And the design is an open spandrel arch bridge. And it was designed by a guy by the name of Mr. Eiffel, who did a few things in France. And the bridge
Just a couple.
Yeah, there's another bridge up there that it makes it a really neat scene where the water's coming down the side of the hill country there.
Oh, I didn't
That's a
even notice those.
More
deer.
modern style bridge with a suspended arch, suspended span, excuse me, in the middle, and two iron and steel piers. So, you leave the Doyle Bond Forest and you come to a little rural pig and goat farm.
No, flat car bridge.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I think that's an intuitive, it's a really neat, innovative way to make a bridge out of a
Oh,
flat
yeah.
car. And then you have a small kind of family-owned and operated livestock operation, cattle operation. And for kids, in the livestock area is a hippopotamus. We like to put things like that out there to keep them, you know, open. Think you can find a hippopotamus, kiddo?
Yes.
It's right over here. Come on, let's look at it. Let's look for it. I bet you could find it. You got better eyes than me.
I love your operating signals there. Are they?
And they actually, a lot of them actually do work.
Yep.
You know, we don't use them as much as we could, but it's pretty neat. There's a little sensor that tells you, you know, when the train's coming and when it's gone and this kind of thing. Can you find the hippopotamus yet? You did? Did you find it? See, he's got his mouth open. He says, "Ah, give me something to eat."
There's the
So this is a town called Brazos, and Brazos, that's a doodlebug. You know what a doodlebug
Oh
is?
yeah.
Okay. Doodlebugs were like super trolleys that ran offline to other areas. So you'd get off the main line, you'd go to the station, you'd say, I want to go visit Grandma, and they'd get on that car and away they go.
I love your abandoned little ripped out.
Yeah, there's
You don't see that modeled a lot.
a lot of scenes within scenes, and that's what makes things interesting, okay? So then you have things like hobos, right here. A picnic. You got a picnic going on. Some people that have been bad.
Oh, chain gang.
Yeah, and then you got some guys that have run out of gas.
Oh, look at that. Let's see how it trains.
Yeah, we left the house. We asked him if he wanted to go see the trains.
Yeah.
He thought we were talking about
The big trains. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is Fort Worth in the distance. Okay. So you have the big grain elevators.
She's from Fort Worth, so
The
y'all
Fort
might
Worth-
get a test of your accuracy here.
Yeah, this is not all that accurate. The Fort Worth stockyards, and then this is the town of Claiborne. And Claiborne was a railroad community for the Santa Fe, and it built a lot of engines and had a lot of railroad work that was done there. And then there's some spin-off industries that work for the stockyard and with the stockyard, hides and chemicals and that kind of stuff. A really nice Santa Fe style
Depot.
passenger station and freight station. This is a railway post office, which in 1959, that's the way the mail was moved, was over the trains. So it was a big deal. They were just starting to get into airmail and that kind of stuff. So there's all kinds of industries and things in Claiborne that were, you know, the railroad supported and needed. This is a real nice freight terminal that our railroad runs. A little park here for people to watch trains as it goes by.
No, wait, Dada, wait.
Okay.
You better wait for me.
Okay.
So over here we have railroad related things. There's a diesel repair facility down at the end of the tracks. Way down there, you can walk down there and take a picture of that if you want. You have the Fort Worth yards. Then this facility is an ice loading reefer platform,
It's
which
just
is right here.
a steam.
Which in those days, we didn't have mechanical reefer cars. So we had to put ice in the bunkers of the cars to keep things cold. And they did that about every 300 or 400 miles.
I want to show
Then you have steam engines,
see.
the turntable, and a roundhouse. And the only other thing that I'll show you is if you look up there, you'll see a little cutout area. And that's a loft. I could turn on the light up there if you
I'll
want.
show
Can we
you.
turn on the light?
Sure.
I'll show you, Dada.
Okay, Jackson.
This is this
Okay.
and a little bit of all the timbers.
So when we're having operation sessions, there's a dispatcher that works up there. And there's a picture of Mussolini up there. And Mussolini had a famous saying that the trains will run on time. So we refer to the dispatcher as El Duce. And that dispatcher can call people on these phones and tell them train number 12, you're ready to go. So that's the way that works with the dispatcher. And that's during the operation session. Now the other kind of sessions we have are what we call fun runs, which is where people just bring their trains usually and just run on the main line. We don't move any of the cars out here or that kind of thing because that confuses the computer, which
Oh, yeah.
upsets other people. So
Can you tell me about these panels?
yes,
I've
I
seen
can
them
tell
all
you
over
about
the
these
layout.
panels. Okay, this would be a panel like you would see in an interlocking tower, really. And what it is on a model railroad, you have two types of ways you can switch switches. You have the manual method, you know, which is with a switch throw. And then you have places that you can't reach, okay, which we have a motor that's underneath each of these switches, and it runs a little rod. And so that rod opens and closes with the way we send it a signal to do it. So this panel is set up so that you can route your train or pick up cars or do whatever using automated switches, or if you're running on the outside here, you can just use these manual ones because you can reach them. Okay? So for example, if I want to switch pick up something over here, I press this button and this light lights and it says, okay, the switch is set to go that way.
I wonder,
Okay?
Mama.
So that's how that works, and that's what it looks like on the inside, which is, you know, pure gobbledygook.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yep. I'm TENY. I'm not Signal.
yeah.
That looks really hard.
That's Jerry Williams. He's is what we call the fun run area. Okay? So this is a place where if you're going to bring your train, you can use these cars and put them back, and you can run your engine. And we also have some video cameras in various places under the layout where we can't see them very well. So we've got about, what, 13 of those, Jerry? Yeah. So up here we have where the dispatcher works, and how he's got his little trains set up and how they're moving on this board. And he can use the phone to call the different areas and, you know, give them permission to go or stop them or tell them about traffic or problems or whatever. He can call them and talk to them. And you can see most of the layout from up here. There's a couple of places that you can't really see, but it's pretty good. Plus it gives you an idea of
The size.
yeah, there's about 850 feet of mainline track. I would say at normal speed, kind of speeds that I like to go, which is about 35, 45 miles an hour in HO scale time, it takes me about 30 minutes to go around it. So, and it kind of loops back on itself, so it's a nice thing to run your train on, really, even just for the fun run. You know, my home layout at home, it takes me 2 minutes to get around it. So, I'll give you an idea.
I wish I had one of those.
Yeah. What, a home layout?
Yep.
Oh. Well, you'll make one day. Older HO cars. Most of those are metal cars. And then there's some ones up there that are pretty rare. Everybody, this Gerber baby food one is pretty cool. This is a little display of the history of steam engines from 1850 to 1950. And it kind of shows you how they got bigger and more powerful. And it goes all the way from the Golden Spike, you know, the Transcontinental Railroad. And then, if you ever come in here and we're really in a good mood, it's probably because we've been into this train right here.
That's the Jim Beam train.
That's the Jim Beam train. You know about it.
Oh yeah. I used to be a real big whiskey.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't go into this family.
We won't.
This is a family channel, so
Yeah,
we
that's
won't go into it.
Okay. So there's an O-scale train, that Pensy.
Oh yeah,
One
that's
O-scale.
that's our speed right
This
there.
is O-scale. And this engine here, if you read this thing about it, it's not a Lionel. It's a handmade. The guy handmade it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked O-scale,
It's-
but it.
it's
I didn't
O-scale,
recognize it.
But it's. I mean, look at these cars. Aren't they cool? They're really nice. So. Yeah. Oh, since you've got O-scale,